So I got my first stone phone in 2017 with the Nokia 3310 3G, and then actually having owned two of them, I soon proceeded to test most of the stuff out there on the market, and then eventually ended up on this phone, the a202kc, which viewers of this channel might be fairly familiar with at this point. I used this phone for about 6 months, and yeah, I really love this phone, but it's definitely not for everyone. This is the a202kc that was about 100 to 130, I think, from Yahoo auctions. And yeah, I'm finally ready to express my thoughts about it now that I've been living with it for a while now. So if that sounds cool to you, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Guys, if your brain is a chaotic mix of calendar items, to-do lists, Notion pages, etc., today's video sponsor, Akiflow, is going to be a great fit for you. If you don't know what Akiflow is, it is basically a all-in-one hub that connects everything from Gmail to Slack, all in one simple and easy to use page, where here I can see everything that I have to do. Everything is color coded and visually super intuitive to manipulate and use without having to think about. What's great about it is that it'll learn your habits over time and give you feedback about your productivity, what you've been spending time on, and it'll help you prevent yourself from overworking yourself and overbooking yourself, which is something that I struggle with for sure. For me, I'm always managing multiple stuff between YouTube, coding, Japanese, and training, so just having an all-in-one place where I can see everything and manage everything quickly without having much overhead is awesome. If you're interested, a link is down in the description below. They also offer one-on-one onboarding, which means that someone from their team will help you set up Akiflow and get you on your merry way. So thank you again, Akiflow, for sponsoring this video. And now back to keitais. So these phones look quite similar on the surface. This one has a black bezel, as you can see. It's also slightly darker, and yeah, this one though has a massively improved spec sheet. I would say it's probably at least like 1.5x times faster, so just living with it is way better. It has more RAM and a better processor, and also a newer version of Android 10. So because of that, just living with the phone is way better. Pretty much the only difference physically besides like the color is that the newer phone actually dropped the flash on the back for some reason, so this one has no flash. Neither of these phones have volume keys, so you have to use software remapping. I'll get into that later. They also have this external screen that you can use to view the time when the phone is closed, like so. If you've never used a flip phone before, you might be surprised by how kind of thick they are. I don't know if you can really tell, but in my pocket it definitely feels like two different devices. For reference, here's an XT X4, and it's definitely like considerably thicker. Because of that, I tend to find myself preferring the candy bar design, where it's just simply flat, but it is what it is. The device itself feels really solid, the hinge feels great, the keypad is awesome to type on, it feels really good, and no issues with build quality or anything. These only have like 16 or something like that gigabytes from the factory. Thankfully, they're expandable via SD card, so you're able to put in extra storage, which I have done. So I've been using this phone for a while, and I'm using it on Mint Mobile, which is a T-Mobile MVNO, so they use like the T-Mobile towers and the T-Mobile service. And normally that's been really good for me. For some reason, as of late, I've noticed like the bars are not as consistent. As you can see, it barely drops like 2 bars right there. And yeah, I don't know why. Living here in a major metropolis or whatever, you'd expect the signal to always be good. I've done some more research on it, and from what I understand, it's mainly using band 2 or 3, and it seems like T-Mobile is deprecating that, and I'm guessing that's what's leading to the loss in signal as of late. So unfortunately, like normally, like maybe a year ago, it was fairly recently, these phones are actually rock solid in terms of service like stability, but as of late it's been a bit more shaky, fortunately for us American users, which is why I probably would not recommend this phone for an American user unless you're okay with like the signal kind of dropping out sometimes. But it's like been great for like today, but I've noticed days where like it'll drop out like maybe 30% of the time or something like that. And also the GPS on these phones don't really work without rooting it, which is something that you are not able to do with the 902kc. The a202, a203kc is actually rootable, and apparently you can get the GPS to work, which I personally have not done yet. I think we'll do that in a future video. but I have not done it yet because I don't want to have to reset my phone, which is what you have to do when you root it. So there are a lot of workarounds to get a phone like this like working like you'd expect in America here. First off is that this little mail client is what Japanese phones tend to use, where it's more like a hybrid like texting / email solution. And because of that, you have to install a third-party messages app and then use that as your default app. Doing so is not super complicated, but I feel like if you're not used to sideloading an app or you've never sideloaded an app before, it can be a little bit intimidating. And yeah, so you will have to sideload a messages app onto the phone if you want to text with it like you'd expect it to work. And furthermore, because this phone does not have the Play Store, you'll have to sideload all the apps. You can do that by installing a Play Store client alternative like Aurora Store, or you can just download the APKs and download them and install them from your computer, which is what I've done. But yeah, that's pretty much like how you put apps on this phone, and it can be a bit much if you're not super tech savvy. And because there's no Google Play Store, there's also no Google Play services. So stuff like your banking app or stuff that's like needs a secure connection will not work. I know at least for me, the stuff that I care about that I would use on this phone, like Spotify and Discord, all work fine, but your mileage may vary. The great thing about this phone is that you can actually install apps, which is something that you cannot do with a lot of dumb phones out there on the market, and which is why this one in particular is pretty special. You also have to install this custom keyboard app called TT9. The default keyboard app is okay, but if you want predictive texting like you'd expect it to work on any other T9 phone from like the 2000s, you'll want to use TT9, and the development has come a long way over the years, and I can say that it's like quite good nowadays as well, so no issues with that. Typing emojis is kind of annoying, but other than that, yeah, it's all good. Because this phone only has 1 gig of RAM, the multitasking on it is not going to be super good. So say that you're listening to music and then someone texts you. I hope you don't want to say that you're listening to music in Spotify and someone texts you. Well, unfortunately, you will not be listening to music when you respond. And because there's no touchscreen on this phone, you have to navigate the UI with this little cursor thing. So this is an app that expects a touchscreen normally, so you have to navigate it with this little cursor thing. And yeah, it's kind of dorky for sure, but you can also turn that off by holding this. And then yeah, you can also navigate some apps by using just the D-pad as well. There's also another app called C9 Cursor that I'd recommend you install over the default cursor app, and it just works a little bit better. So the dumb phone market right now in 2026 is pretty interesting in that most of the dumb phones out there are designed for like construction workers or like senior citizens who want something either that's like super durable, but as a result is very bulky, or has like gigantic buttons if like it's a senior citizen phone. It's really hard to find stuff out there that's like just a normal chill phone. And the ones that are just like normal phones tend to be really expensive. If you look at something like a iPhone 3, I think it's like $800. And then I had like a Mudita, the first one, the Mudita Pure. That might be the worst device I've ever used in my life. I haven't tried the Mudita Compact, but yeah, just like the state of the market right now, pretty much like the only viable ones in my opinion are from like Chin, which is like a Xiaomi sub-brand, and those phones don't even work that well in America. My favorite dumb phone ever is like the Chin F22, and like it does not work here in America, unfortunately. So I can pretty much only use it whenever I visit Vietnam, which is a little bit unfortunate, but like getting an affordable dumb phone that you can use apps on is like not super easy. And yeah, that's why these phones, in my opinion, are really special, because they actually work here in America and you can use apps on them. And they have stuff like Wi-Fi tethering and a web browser in case you need to look something up real quick. So I feel like these are really special and interesting devices, but here in America at least, unfortunately, it's not super viable. I've been experimenting with this device as well. This is the new Viwood's paper reader or whatever. And interestingly enough, this actually has like cellular bands that work really well here in America, but there's like no speakers on it or like a microphone. If you want to be able to call with it, you have to have like wireless headphones with you, which is pretty interesting. But I don't know if I'll ever make a video on this at the moment because it's not really there yet in terms of software, I think, but this is definitely super interesting. There's also no warm light on it, which I don't really know why they did that. Yeah, just like looking at the state of the market, there's nothing super compelling that would really meet every single check mark that I want in a dumb phone right now, with good band support, a nice keypad, not super humongous, and like a good price point. There's unfortunately nothing out there. I would love to see a company like Nothing or like a Western company like that produce something like fun and interesting. But if you're like in China or like Europe, the experience is going to be a lot different for you. You can actually get something like this to work viably, and I think it'd be a lot of fun using this if you're ready to try it out for some time. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys.